Hello and welcome to Oak Road Hatters Put in the Mixer, the only analytic show focusing exclusively on Luton Town. So this week it's international break and I am your pilot, and with me today, flying us along with the Hatters across to all the international destinations they're playing in, is my co-pilot, Andy Burgess. How are you getting on, Burge?
Hi, Ollie. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Looking forward to chewing over the last few Town games, having a look at some goals and some interesting footage. So yeah, looking forward to it, mate. How are you?
Yeah, all good. Not liking the weather, waiting for spring.
No. Yes, aren't we all?
Yeah. These haven't been regular pods because, quite simply, Luton haven't been scoring enough goals. We haven't got enough content to fill 40 minutes, have we? But bunch them all together. We've got lots of talking points now. But before we have a look at the Sheffield United goal, Burge, Luton Town have only scored more than one goal in their last 10 games. It's all right squeaking out 1-0s, and it shows a tight defence, but what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few ways of looking at it, really. First and foremost, listen, winning a game is winning a game. So whether you win it 7-0, whether you win it 2-1, 3-2, 4-3, 1-0, 2-0, at the end of the day, it's 3 points. Yes, there's an argument that it increases or decreases your goal difference, which can give you an extra point come the end of the season. And I get that. But the big picture really is the fact that you're winning 3 points. So I think you have to understand that I think it shows a certain type of team that have the ability to do it. And I don't think it has to be, whilst obviously I think every fan likes to win games by 3 or 4, at least score 3 or 4 goals, maybe, whether it's 3-1, 3-2, whatever, 4-1. It's nice to see goals, but I think the fact that you're winning games 1-0 tells you a lot about a team. I think it tells you you've got a good, decent character. I think you can play games in a different way. You can score a goal and maybe hold on to it a little bit and defend maybe a little bit deeper and be a bit more pragmatic about the performance. I don't necessarily think that has been the case. I think maybe it's just been a fact that, or been a theme that we just haven't really been able to get that second goal. And I don't think it's really been a mentality thing where we have scored and we've gone, do you know what, we're gonna drop into a low block or a mid block, and we're going to allow the opposition to come onto us more than we do, because we do like to play on the counter at times. So I think it's I just think it's maybe something that has come together by coincidence, if that's the right word, in the sense that all these games have been grouped together. We have won games 1-0. Again, I think we've created decent chances to go and win games 2 or 3, or be 2 or 3 up in games. But I don't necessarily see it as a huge negative. At the end of the day, like I say, it's 3 points and we've won them. Yes, of course, I think everybody, managers, staff, certainly supporters, would like to have more of a cushion and like to be more comfortable, because the danger is Sunderland happens and you're comfortable and you're in a game, or Preston happens where you're comfortable and you're leading a game and you're not looking, the opposition aren't looking like they're going to score, and then all of a sudden, bang, both games penalty against the run of play, and penalty which contentious decision from a linesman or a referee, and all of it, or a magnificent strike that can happen in the Championship from 25, 30 yards, or a bit of brilliance from somebody. So it's listen, whilst I'm saying it's 3 points and that's all that matters, I don't think it's a game plan. I don't think it's something that Rob Edwards and his staff or the players would go out and say, do you know what, let's go and get a 1-0 win here and be satisfied with that, because, as I say, it can change in a heartbeat. But I definitely don't think it's the worst. The worst thing that you can become is a team that, as you mentioned, grind out 1-0 results. Of course, as I say, winning games by 2 or 3 and giving you that cushion, that comfortable feeling heading towards the end of games is good. But I don't think it's a tactic that we win games 1-0. I just think it's a consequence of of maybe missing a few chances or maybe not creating as many clear-cut chances in games. And hopefully it's something that, if we all have a few more nails for the running.
Yeah, as you say, like it's not always a case of grinding it out. And a lot of the games don't feel like they're being ground out.
No.
Although we're coming onto a game where it did feel like a bit of a nail biter. We needed to, sort of, chomp down on our nails and prepare those chairs for the squeaky bum time. When we played second place Sheffield United, whose form has dwindled as of late, but again, playing second place in the league, when you're playing catch up with anyone, it's always going to be a tough one, especially with the firepower that they have up top. So Carlton Morris scored in the 53rd minute. And if you want to take us through that goal, because it was spectacular, wasn't it? I mean,
it was a good,
not the finish.
No, but it's good play. It's real good play. As you say, listen, it was nail biting, but we're going to Sheffield United. I think it was the biggest crowd the town have played in front of for a long, long time. Sheffield United played at Bramall Lane, and the atmosphere and the way they get behind their team is phenomenal, and it's a tough place to go. So make no bones about this. This was a phenomenal result, and the goal, as we show it here, we've spoken about 3v3s and 2v2s and 1v1s all over the pitch, and this is another example of that. And it's, can you get through that 3v3? Can you be better? And we're bright, we're lively. Campbell gets slightly a bit of lucky there. And then it's, can you put it through my legs? I love the nutmeg. I wish a defender marked me like that every game, because that's the worst bit of defending ever. But he's executed it brilliantly. Now, this is the bit that's good. Look at the defenders there. They'd say we've got Carlton Morris sorted. And then for me, it's just, I want it more. His arms across both of them. He's got his hand in one of their faces. He's got his body across the other. Then it's a case of find me my strike partner. And it's the slightest of touches. It's by half a yard. It's a brilliant ball by Elijah Adebayo. And Carlton Morris gets in, and it's I just think again, and we speak about this a lot on the pod. It looks a fairly simple goal. We've got it in a 3v3. We've got it in a 3v3. Elijah's done a bit of brilliance to get through a 1v1, and then Carlton's got across the near post. But I just think if we look at it again, that's Sheffield United are in a decent defending position then, and they're saying break us down, get through us. So we've got to be bright. And I think the run from Adebayo, when he knocks it in here to Campbell. Again, running past him, Campbell does well to find him, and then it's show us a bit of brilliance. Yes, it's awful defending, but if you're teaching someone how not to defend, that's it. But it's great execution, and then it's about that. And how many times again? And what's interesting of this is and there's another the other goal. There's another goal we're going to look at in a bit from one of the games, and we often see, and we're seeing loads at the minute of when it's either Doherty or Bell. Or on the other side, it might be Dramé. When they're getting it with good possession, and Elijah or Carlton can see they're going to cross the ball in. So often, or more often than not, we saw it like the QPR goal. We've seen it the Preston goal. One of them at least pulling off to the back post. One of them pulling off to the back post and getting the 5 yards away from the defender. What's interesting on this goal is that because of the position that Elijah Adebayo finds himself in, Carlton Morris doesn't look to get to that back post. And because it happens perhaps quite quickly, he knows that the position Adebayo's in, to drill it across the near post is the best thing to do. So it's a clever play from both of them, real bright ability and cleverness on the wing by Adebayo, and then the quality to find the ball across to Carlton Morris. But then it's the tenacity, it's the physicality, it's the strength and an ability to get through two central defenders with ease, really, and then prod it home. It's another type of goal for Carlton Morris. We see goals from 25, 30 yards, volleys from 12 yards, headers from 6 yards, like we're going to see against Bristol City, 7, 8 yards from Bristol City, and then the ability now we're seeing to get across the near post. And again, we've spoken about it before. He is your ultimate, for me, championship all-round centre forward who can and has proven that he can score every single type of goal.
Yeah, I might have done that a disservice by saying it wasn't the best finish, because now that you think about the run to the front post, the physicality to get to the front of that queue, and the little deft touch just to turn it in ahead of Fotheringham, because I've seen pictures where Fotheringham's just there waiting with his hands out, expecting the ball just to land. But yeah, those legs from, I think it was Fleck as well, just wide open.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, so inviting. Perfect. But we had a bit of a scare after that. The XG numbers for the game weren't overawing, though. Luton Town posted an XG of 0.55, whereas Sheffield United posted an XG of 0.70. In all fairness, the majority of that XG was generated after we'd scored. That was when they became more threatening. And again, Ethan Horvath has sort of stepped up after the little wobble. I'd call it a wobble against Millwall. Yeah. What are your opinions on his save that he made from Sheffield United? I believe it was Egan, maybe. I got in point blank.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, fantastic. Listen, he's, as you say, he's had a difficult time against Millwall early on with the goal that went through his hands, and he'll be the first one to admit he should have saved it. But this is the life of a goalkeeper, and when we needed him to step up, he's had a phenomenal amount of clean sheets this season. He's an international goalkeeper. Although he doesn't play for the United States, but he's in and around the squad. We know he's Villa have taken him as somebody who they thought may be able to get in the team, but we know he's got quality and he's got good pedigree. I think he's had a decent back three in front of him all season who have defended really well. Decent team, because we start our centre forwards are our first line of defence, to use the old adage. So, he's fortunate he's playing in a good team, but, at times he has made really, real good saves. We're going to look at some clips of Tom Lockyer in a bit, and there's some sort of additional bits of the clips that show saves. Blackpool, for instance, where he made some fantastic saves. So he really is a real good shot stopper. And the save against Sheffield United, it's as good as a goal. That's the best thing you can say about him. What you're looking for me in successful teams, you're looking at a goalkeeper who can affect the result of a game. I know that sounds simple, but you're looking for goalkeepers who at big moments can make big saves. And I think he's that type. I do think he'll always have a little bit of a clanger in him. Maybe a lack of concentration or whatever it is, but I think he is a goalkeeper who makes big saves at big times. And that certainly was a big save against Sheffield United. And again, was as important as the goal we've just seen from Carlton Morris.
Yeah, to be fair, as you say, any goalkeeper can drop a clanger. And when you see the stats for goals prevented, and Ethan Horvath is quite low down on that list. I believe last time I looked, it was negative 3.4 goals prevented. But then you look at someone like Rotherham's keeper, but obviously the stats favour those goalkeepers to face a lot of shots, whereas our defence are very adept at limiting the amount of shots that go through to Horvath. So moving on to Deja Vu, another 1-0 win. Bristol City came to Kenilworth Road, and I'd say Harry Cornick got a mild reception. He got clapped off at the end of the game after, putting in a sort of quiet performance, I would say. He had one shot on goal. But we got the party started nice and early with Carlton Morris again popping up in the 4th minute with a goal.
Yeah, and I think on the Harry Cornick part, I think that's probably how it should be. A player who comes back, you don't want to, make him feel too welcome and boost his ego too much before he goes and plays against you. But then I think you should appreciate him when the game's finished. And I think that's what we did. As you say, he was quiet. I thought we dealt with him well. We didn't allow him really to get in any races with anybody, which is obviously his main asset. So listen, he was fantastic for us the time he was with us. So rightly, he got a decent ovation. But yeah, I think the game on the back of going to Bramall Lane and winning 3 points, I think that what is often said is when you go and when you go and have a good away win, it's important to follow it up with another result, with another win, because go away to Bramall Lane, to Sheffield United, second in the league, and exert all that energy and that effort and play so well. And yes, rode our luck, but to win the game there, to then come home against Bristol City and not get 3 points, it sort of takes the gloss a little bit off the Sheffield United win. So it was important for me to get back-to-back wins, and it was a fabulous goal. It really was a fabulous goal. If we see it, if we run it again, Adebayo's gone and pressed. We've won the ball high up, and here is the impressive thing: in a transition, it's a double transition, and we've just given it away, and we've won it again. Our midfield three are in a real good triangle. Then this pass for me is a clever one, because the obvious one to go to Campbell, but you've then got 5 players who are probably going to smash Campbell straight away, going to be on him straight away. So he's gone wide to Dramé. Now, Dramé waiting to cross this is so clever and so creditable to his quality, because it would have been so easy to slash at it and hack at it. As it is, he's waited. I'll speak about the sort of positioning and movement of Morris in a minute, and the header is absolutely first class. But it comes off the back of the cross, and if I run it again, the positioning of the whole forward part of the team, if you like, you've got 3 players in the box, you've got your wing back nice and high, and then you've got that triangle of midfielders, which looks fantastic, and it's just pushed in, squeezed in. It's a real good shape behind the ball. Again, for me, this pass is really clever and really bright by Nkamba. People might say I'm doing him a bit of giving him a bit too much credit, but I think it's a real good pass. He's waited. As I said, Dramer's waited for the cross, waited for the ball to drop, and then the position is what I'm talking about at Morris. He's 2 or 3 yards off the back of the defender who can't see him. He's level with the back post, and he's saying, put it in here, hang it up, put it at the back stick for me, and I'll win this. Defender's got too much to do. It's a magnificent cross from Cody Dramé, but it's a magnificent header as well, because to get that much power from almost a standing start, it's almost a vertical jump. The power is on the cross, is on the ball, and as I say, it's a magnificent ball in from the wing back. But the header to direct it, and it's come very, very quick at him to direct it and get the power and head it down and make it difficult for the goalkeeper. It's a magnificent header, and it's a fantastic goal, and great to see Dramé getting an assist and another goal for our leading marksman, and it was enough to win the game, and it was a goal really for me good enough to win a game. So yeah, it was really good, and as I say, the pass from Nakamba, I just think, and I might be giving him a bit too much credit in the sense that he saw Dramé and just gave it to him. But I think, I do think, as he maybe have got his head up there and he may have seen Campbell briefly, and it's all done in a split second, he had 5 players converging on him. And as I've said all the time, and I say all the time, the best pass generally is forward into the centre forward's feet or into the forward player's feet. But for me, that was the right pass. So credit where it's due. For me, Nakamba isn't always the prettiest or the nicest on the eye in terms of his passing. He's been magnificent for us in terms of his break-up play and his position and his discipline. I think he's been an incredible signing. But that pass for me was very, very good. And as I say, the start of a very good goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's nice seeing Nakamba doing the business like higher up the pitch, because you sort of think of him as someone that sticks in his own half and just moves laterally. So it was really good to see that he can put his foot on it and pick out a pass. It would have been interesting if the ball had gone straight through to Alan Campbell, because then it would have put Alan Campbell in a very difficult position, as you say, with 5 players bearing down on him. He would have had to receive the ball with his back to goal, maybe done a 180 and had a snapshot, whereas the ball to Cody. And then if you can speak a bit more about the technique on Cody's pass, because that was sublime.
Yeah, I mean, if we run it again, for me the key is that he waited for it to drop a bit, because the key, if the ball's going up as he hits it, it continues to go up. So he has to wait just a fraction of a second for it to just about stop, or just about start to come down off the bounce, if you like. It's, listen, the ball into him is lofted, so he's had to have that touch, and then it dropped, and then it's just about to drop, and to even then to be able to control it, and keep it on that sort of trajectory that it's on, is an incredible technique. It really is, because the power he's gone at as well, and he's got a bit of swaz on it as well. He's sort of giving it a bit of fade, and it's an absolutely top class cross, that. Listen, he made to look really, really easy, but let me tell you, that is a really difficult technique, and hopefully that would have given him a lot of confidence in his final ball. So, yeah, I think that delivery from him was absolutely superb.
Yeah, and hopefully we keep seeing him going strength to strength with Luton Town. He's been a very able replacement for James Bree, I think.
I think he brings as much, if not more, than James Bree. And I'm not, I know it's easy to say that because our player and Bree isn't anymore, but I just think he gives us a bit more legs and a bit more pace. And don't get me wrong, James Bree is a fantastic player, and it's disappointing to see what's happened to him at Southampton. Not being in and around the team, but I just think he gives us that little bit more legs and energy up and down that right hand side. But long may it continue.
Yeah. So the numbers for that game, interestingly, Bristol City didn't really create much. Expected goals for Bristol City of 0.36. And Alex Scott was surprisingly quiet. He was sort of the danger man approaching the game. Luton Town in that game, expected goals of 2.28, 15 shots, 6 on target. So the momentum was heavily with Luton Town there. But then we in a kind of a packed schedule going from the Wednesday to the Saturday, we make the long trip up to the northeast, and we play a Sunderland team who are, really trying their hardest to get into the playoffs after, a promotion from League One. And it was a game where a lot of Luton Town fans were fancying another 1-0. But it was a controversial game, which, we will discuss now. But it started off quite well. Although Sunderland hit the post, they didn't really threaten other than that, because they haven't got any strikers other than Joe Gelhardt, who's not really a lone striker type player. We went in 0-0, and then Doughty comes out in the 51st minute and scores a goal from quite a tidy set piece.
Yeah, it was a tough game. Listen, again, like Sheffield United, although Sunderland aren't obviously at the heady heights of Sheffield United, it was always going to be a difficult place to go. There are a fantastic set of supporters up in Sunderland, very, very passionate and very get behind them. And although it's a difficult place in terms of being a Sunderland supporter at the minute, although they are, a step closer to where they want to be, it was always going to be a tough one. And I thought it looked like the game was always there for the taking. And I think if we improved our quality that little bit, that little sort of 2-3%, I thought we would have opened them up a little bit more and created a few more chances. Listen, I speak every week on this pod or every episode on this pod and laud the two centre forwards. I think and I still do. I think they're the best partnership in the division. I think individually they bring so much, but I thought they were quite poor in the first half of Sunderland. I thought a lot was breaking down with them. I thought Adebayo's decision making of taking too many touches was a little bit poor at times, and I thought a lot was breaking down on them, which you can't say that much about them, and I'm not being critical about them at all in the bigger picture. But I think Rob Edwards would have gone in at half time and said we need that little bit more from the front two. That's just my opinion. And I thought we got it second half. But yeah, coming out second half, it was one of them where the longer the game went on, we would have probably been chasing it a little bit and becoming a little bit unconventional in how we wanted to score. So it was important that we got the goal early for me. And it's an interesting one because for me, it's really clever from Doherty. I'm not entirely sure that everybody was on the same wavelength of him doing this. I think some were. Obviously, Dramé was looking at him. He knew it was going to happen. But if you see that, I think Osho perhaps does because he's got his arm across, he's stopping them coming out. But a lot of Sunderland players were coming out in front of the Luton players. There was a lot of bodies in front of the keeper, in fairness, trying to give him a little bit of help on that. But what I mean is, I think if Berry, because that's Luke Berry in that hole, I think he gets in front maybe of his defender to stop him coming out. I think maybe we put a player close to the wall to stop them coming out. If everybody knew this was going to happen, I might be wrong, but it wouldn't surprise me if sometimes that the players who are taking free kicks and the players that are shooting, sometimes they come up with things and the rest of the team won't know about it. They'll have a little chat with somebody and they might say, do you know what, we'll shift it here. Or even the coaching staff, because he ran to someone on the bench and jumped in the arms of someone on the bench. It looked like they might have spoken about it. That could have well been the case, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the other players in the team, all of them, would have been onto it, because it doesn't. Defensively, everybody will be switched on when you're doing set piece, and everybody will be clued up, and everybody, because you might have to go and do another role because a substitute might come on and have to. It's defensively, set pieces are so important that the whole team is switched on and the whole team is listening when it's being coached, and the whole team is engaged in it and understand everybody else's role. When it's the flip of that and you're attacking, it's quite, and I've never been on Luton's training ground under Rob Edwards, so I might be wrong here, but it's not unusual for the players who are taking the set pieces, especially from an attacking point of view in a shooting position, to do what they're trying to do differently. So it looked there just as if Luke Berry knew that was going to happen. I think he comes and stands in front of the Sunderland defender to block, a bit like Osho is, getting his arm across. Osho, for me, looked like he knew what was going to happen. Anyway, that's just my thought and a little point on that. But it was clever. It changed the angle really well. It was a decent touch from Dramé to allow a little bit of roll back to it. Listen, he didn't catch it sweetly. He didn't catch it if we just roll it again. It wasn't the best strike on his left foot from Alfie Doherty, but it asked a question. That's what he can do. It was where they're defending there, and why I've put that caption here. It's too deep really to cross. So it's a really good option. It's a good decision. As I say, he's caught it okay, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bodies in front of the goalkeeper there, which would have obviously unsighted him. He probably was disappointed with it in the end. The goalkeeper, I thought was okay there, goalkeeper, and one that potentially is a young goalkeeper. I forget his name now, but in the first half, I thought he did some decent. Anthony Patterson. I thought he was maybe one that would maybe interest us if things at the end of the season, but that was a separate point. But he'd be disappointed with that. But yeah, a clever step piece, shifted the angle, and again, as you say, it looked like it might have been another 1-0 to the Town, but sadly, up steps the man in the middle.
Yeah, and that is the case. It was Scott Oldham's first game in the Championship, and what a game for him to make his Championship debut in front of 37,000 fans, and it was. I've seen this from all angles now. It was a absolutely disgraceful dive from Diallo. Mm-hmm. Would you ever do that, Burge, to win a pen? You can be honest here.
No. Listen, I don't. I wouldn't have done it. I think it's just like you say. I mean, listen. I get you have to escalate referees, and you have to put them in positions where they're uncomfortable and they've not been, and they have to be in these situations. But 37,000 in a team against a team that is in the playoffs, and the game means something. That's unnecessary. There's no need to put him in that position. Put him in a mid-table team clash in front of 10,000 people, 15,000. Yes, he's refereed at the Stadium of Light before in League One, and there was an article that I tweeted that Sunderland fans absolutely berated him after that game. Apparently, it was a shocking performance then. But I think he's been hung out to dry because the game was obviously too big for him. He was out of his depth. I said at half time, I said to yourself or in the group, I think, that the referee was dreadful. I thought he made dreadful decisions in the first half, and this is long before the big one. I felt he made some crazy decisions. He was so inconsistent, and he was so. And it wasn't just for Luton or just for Sunderland. He just looked out of his depth. And the penalty is just, the better angle is the one behind the goal, in fairness, because you can see he goes the opposite way. But people have said, I've seen people say the linesman give it. If you look at the linesman, the linesman hasn't given anything. For the linesman to give a penalty, he has to raise his flag and put his flag across his chest. Now, they're definitely talking. I get they're talking. So neither of them, for me, there's no chance that either of them can conclude that it's a definite penalty. So they've both said it could be, it might be. And for me, the disgraceful thing is the time it takes him to give it. Because if you're sure, if you're definite, you do not do this, what the referee's done. Didn't give it, starts backing away, starts walking away. He's obviously talking to the linesman who doesn't know. And then a good 3, 4, 5 seconds after he gives the penalty, the lads jump the other way. It just makes absolutely zero common sense, absolutely unjustifiable, and we won't get it justified because no one ever comes out and tells us what they're thinking or what they're doing. So, and it's a diabolical decision that has absolutely killed us. Look, even if you look at the Sunderland players' body language, if you look at the one lad at the bottom of the screen, the 11, he sort of half put his hands up and then knows he's not going to get it and sort of puts his hands on it. If he thinks that's a penalty, he's running over to the referee. He's doing what Tom Lockyer is doing now and going around. They were hoping, they were praying that the referee would pull them out of jail because I think that was probably, like Preston, the only way they were going to get back into the game is a penalty. And the Preston one was a penalty. Lockyer's hand was up. So I'm not disputing that. But what I'm saying is, they needed help to get back into the game and they got it by somebody who hopefully won't be seen refereeing a Luton game for a long, long time yet.
Oh, can you imagine if he's refereeing the playoff final?
Oh yeah. Do you know what? It wouldn't surprise you, would it? It wouldn't even surprise you. That's the scary thing about it. And for me, you just wonder what he's being told after the game. Is he being told the truth? Is he being told, what? I can understand why you've given it. Or, when I was, and I just go off the subject quickly. When I was at Mansfield, one of my roles was to grade the referee. I had to go and grade the referees. I had to go into the whole game system and put the report. Obviously, I spoke to the gaffer, and the gaffer said, ask him about this, ask him about that. And in actual fact, every decision that we contested, and you put the video against it and you submitted it, every decision that we put on, that we contested, not every, 95%, they came back and apologised. And it almost makes you feel worse. It almost makes you feel like, I'd rather you didn't say that. I'd rather you say, why did the referee give the decision? Give me something to not just say, yes, the referee made a mistake. We have spoken to him about this, because that's what he said. Come back and say, well, the referee thought this. The referee thought that. Because there's no accountability. There's no justification. And I'm sure Luton, Rob Edwards and his staff and the players certainly, you saw them surround the referee at the final whistle, and I fell for him, even if I wasn't a Luton fan. And so much has been said on social media about how bad a decision it was. And for me, the linesman didn't give it because the linesman's not flagged for it. The linesman thinks it's a penalty. He's putting his flag up and putting it across his chest like it's a penalty. So somehow they've come to a decision. Neither of them are sure. The referee's not sure because he's backed away. The linesman's not sure because he's not put his flag up. If they're not sure, how can they give a penalty? Beyond me.
Yeah, and apologies do nothing. They're not going to give us the 2 points, and those could have been 2 vital points come the end of the season, but I guess we won't know. Hopefully it just unites the players and gives us a sort of siege mentality.
Siege mentality, absolutely. I was thinking
that's
that.
what we need right now. Us against the FA, us against the EFL. They don't want us in the Prem. We're going to do everything we can, get as many points on the board, try and go up anyway. And the worst thing was after that penalty, we could have lost it because the momentum swung completely the other way. And it was nearly a loss. Nearly left the stadium alight with no points.
Well, I think it plays with people's emotions. I think it does, and you're so frustrated. And you're so. I think it tells because the lads care, the players care. We've seen that about players who are playing in a Luton Town shirt over the last few seasons. They care and they give a damn, and that's brilliant to see. But it also means that emotionally, at times, it can be a tightrope, and emotionally, at times, they're so invested in it. And you can see Tom Lockyer, if he'd have got another red card, I think he probably had in his head, I can't get another red card for what happened in the previous game that I got the red card because, fair enough, he's learned from it and he should have done and he shouldn't have done in the first place. But I just think it proves the lads care. I would say that it's something that Rob might be speaking to him about, to say that when we have a trauma in a game, because Preston was similar in the sense that Preston were in the ascendancy after they got that penalty with the same amount of time to go, and we were backs to the walls. I'd say it's a difficult thing because it's a mentality thing. So it's maybe not something that we can, go out on the training pitch and work on and say, look, you know what? It's 1-1 with 10 minutes to go. We've conceded a goal late. We need to get out of our heads that disappointment. We now need to step back on it and take control of the game again. And it's a really easy thing to say, and it's a really easy thing to talk about. But to put it into reality is a real difficult skill, and it might be something that we have to look at over the space of 6 months' time. It might be in 6 months' time where you go, do you know what? That happened at Sunderland and that happened at Preston, and we finished 1-1. Tonight we've won 2-1, and because after we've conceded that goal, we've mentally switched back on and we've gone and won the game. So I think that's something to consider over a period of time for Rob Edwards, to be able to create a mentality where we're not disappointed, we're not too emotionally involved in the game, and I don't want to take that away from the players because he's brilliant, and we know as fans that we want our players emotionally involved in the game and we want them to care. There's nothing better than seeing players after that game absolutely distraught because we've not won 3 points. As a fan, it's magnificent to see because it means they care, and whatever anybody says, not all players care about a football club or winning 3 points that they play for. So it's a fine line, and I don't want to say that we need to take away that emotion, but I say we have to manage that emotion in a way, and that's an interesting thing for Rob Edwards to try and create in the squad, that positive mind frame of mind after we've conceded a disappointment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's fairly obvious that the players care. And we haven't got the most fancied squads, I would say, on paper. They're not players that are paid, well, let's say the average wage in the Championship is 15k a week. We operate a average salary cap of 6k a week. So we're not really a fancy team, and we're in the playoff positions, and a lot must be on the line for these players with regards to contracts and bonuses and other performance associated fees and whatnot. And so we're going to go on to a player focus of one player in particular who's been a candidate for player of the season. And that's Tom Lockyer, who by all accounts and rumours, I hope it's not true, it's likely that he's out of contract. But he's been a player this season, hasn't he, Burge?
Yeah. I've read where that he's out of contract in the summer. I think it's probably a conversation that the club have. Well, I bet my bottom dollar that the club have had conversations about it. It might just be that that he wants to explore the options, which is his prerogative. See what's on the table. It might be that the wage demands are a little bit apart or whatever. I think the club will understand how important he is. But yeah, with it, listen, for me, he's in the top two. Him and Jordan Clark Carlton Morris as well, you'd have to throw in there as well. Those three, I think, have been the best performers this season consistently across the season, and they'd certainly be batting it out. And Tom Lockyer, for me, is somebody who's improved immensely at the football club. I think when he first came in, he wasn't even really a regular starter all the time. I think he's not only got himself as a regular starter, but he's got himself the armband. There's lots of people saying he should be our regular captain. I think that's a little bit not disrespectful, but a little bit harsh on Sonny Bradley, because he's been out of the team because of injuries. He probably would have played Sonny, and he's been a leader for this football club, and by all accounts, he's a good captain. What he does, he comes out and speaks, and he looks like somebody who's well respected. So I think if Sonny Bradley left the football club, I think Tom Lockyer would be the natural replacement. But I think he's that shows that how much he's come on and how important he's been, and he's just for me, he is a magnificent leader and a magnificent or a real typical central defender in terms of how he headers. I was going through his clips, and when I was clipping these, and he heads so many balls in the middle of the goal. And his positional sense is fantastic. He's a Wales international. He went to a World Cup. He's at the top of his game. And listen, if he is saying to the football club, do you know what? Thanks for the offer of the contract. I'm not going to sign it yet because I want to see what's out there. You can't blame him. Same as we spoke about Naismith and people like Harry Cornock. But I just feel like James Collins went and he got good money at Cardiff and similar situations. So we know that's sort of the model that the clubs follow. These type of players who are coming towards the end of the career come to Luton, do brilliantly well. Other clubs say, do you know what? We can, he can come and do it for us. And it doesn't quite work out, because I think the James Collins and Tom Lockyers, who are big fish in a smaller pond at Luton, if you like, maybe go to a bigger pond and aren't those bigger fish, if you like. I don't know. I think certain players are meant for certain clubs. And I think Tom Lockyer, listen, when you see Bristol Rovers fans talk about him, not so much Charlton, because I don't think he obviously got relegated there, but Bristol Rovers fans adore him, and that doesn't happen for a lot of players, especially centre halves. Centre forwards, yes, you score 50 goals in 100 games and you're a legend. Not so much. So it shows what type of player he is. He's a heart on the sleeve. We saw him with a sending off. He's one of those type of players. So, but I've just clipped a few of his things, and he's just always in the right place at the right time to block, to throw himself. And this is what I mean by a proper centre half. When Naismith was playing centre half, that didn't happen. He wasn't that emergency defender that you need in the middle of the goal, that threw their body in the way of the goal, that was just there. This one, he's just there. He only moved 3 or 4 yards there, but he got himself in the middle of the goal, and it let him, and it hit his body. And I think it's easy to say, and it sounds like I'm stating the obvious, but again, middle of the goal, bang, I'm there and I'm in the way. And I think that is what he's developed and he's got better at, but that is what he's really, really good at. We know as well, he loves a tackle. Sometimes he plays on the edge a little bit, and some of these tackles are on the edge and maybe borderline. I think 1 or 2 might be free kicks, but that's what you want to see. Not go to ground all the time, but go to ground when you need to go to ground. That one, well timed. He's a physical defender. He likes to go in and play, but he gets tight, bang, bang. Look at that. It's magnificent. And it's, another free transfer, wins a free kick because he has a little bit of a scuffle off the ball. He's a horrible player. He's one of them you look at and think, I want him on my team. I don't want him elsewhere. Again, maybe tackled with the wrong foot there. He's not always the most orthodox player or the most sort of technically gifted in terms of his tackling or his defending, but he gets the job done. Again, I think this is a free kick. But that's what you want. A local derby, captain, going through the back of the centre forward and saying, all right, we didn't get the result, or at least talk about that the better. But that's what you want to see. Your centre halves being physical and going to be aggressive and obviously coming through the back of players. This game, he was unbelievable. I was doing co-coms with Simon on this game at Blackpool, up at Blackpool, and he was phenomenal. And this, into the last minute, and throwing your body on the line and 1-0 up and a scrappy game, blustery, cold, winter's day on the northwest coast. And this is and you can just tell he loves doing this. And this is the difference. He enjoys doing this. This is what he wants. This is how he wants to play. He wants to play straight on the floor, gets himself bang, smash, gets himself up another tackle. Is he stay on the floor? No, he doesn't. He reacts. He's on his toes. He's back in. He thinks, where can I be? Where's the best? Where am I going now? On the line, headers off the line. Magnificent. Absolutely magnificent. He's put in two blocks there that save goals. and this is towards the last minute of a 1-0 away at Blackpool, as I say, and they're as good as those blocks are as good as goals. This one, a few moments later, Blackpool absolutely knocking on the door, comes in, just his positioning where he gets himself here, bang, doesn't stand still, gets himself back in the middle of the goal. He's our last defender, bang, block. What a block, magnificent. He's scampering on the floor, on his ass, across the blocking it, making it difficult. And for me, you can't give somebody that. That isn't about developing somebody. That isn't about telling someone to do that. That is about having the mentality that it's not happening. It's not happening. You're not scoring. Again, he's in here, middle of the goal, bang, heading it out, reacting, and we get it up the pitch, and we go on and win the game 1-0. And he was magnificent that game. And what I think, and when I talk about him improving, is that I think his play with the ball has got better. He's improved in his passing. I've only purposely just got one clip of this, of a longer pass, but this is outstanding. And he does this a lot now. Middle of the pitch, he's playing centre of a three. Middle of the pitch, that's a magnificent. It's a bad touch, obviously. That's why we got rid of Bree. But it's a 70-yard pass to his toe, obviously to his toe. And he does that week in, week out now, and he does it with ease. And that's the best bit. And then I think the club tweeted this the other day. This was Saturday up at Sunderland. Who would have thought Tom Lockyer would be doing this? The Lockyer chop, driving out, maybe on a slightly heavy touch, but then the outside of the boot into the channel, magnificent. And he looks like he's loving it at the minute. He looks like he's enjoying it. I think he likes being captain. I think he likes leading. He likes getting around the ref. You can see people coming around the ref and he's pushing them away and he's taking responsibility. And I think that's the big word with him. I think responsibility is huge with him. And he says, I'm the captain. I'm the centre half. I'm the leader. I'll deal with it. Ball come in the box. I'm not going to back away. I'm not going to allow anybody else to deal with it. I'm going to go and head it. I'm going to go and block it. I'm going to put my body on the line for this football club. And I think if we're in this division next season, we need to do as much as we can to keep him. If we go up, I think we need to do as much as we can to keep him, because I think he deserves the opportunity. I think if we went up, I think it's a no-brainer anyway for both sides that he'll stay, because I think he'll want to stay in the football club. But I think if whichever division we're in, I think we need to keep that type of player as much as we can. We won't. I'm not going to say, we don't need to break our wage budget, because we won't, because Gary Sweet won't. We know that. But I just think he's somebody who's a real character, a real energizer around the group. I think that's why, I'm not taking away from his ability. I think when Wales were looking for a centre-half to come into their squad for the World Cup, I think his character and his energy would have been a reason he went ahead of somebody else, because you need that around the group, especially when you're going away for 3 weeks to Dubai, you need that person in the group who's a good character. You don't need somebody who's not going to play like England take away Conor Cody a lot, because he's that character, because he's a leader. Steve Holland's come out and said at the World Cup he was the best player and he didn't kick a ball, just because around the group he's such a good person. And Tom Lockyer looks like that. And I think, I think every Luton fan would say we want to try and do as much as we can to keep him. And I think he's been fabulous this season.
So getting your final thoughts on Locks, from a former pro's perspective on it, obviously money's changed, the game's changed since you played this is obviously the highest level that Tom Lockyer has played at. He played 285 games for Bristol Rovers. That's why he was such a cult hero there, because he signed for them when he was 15, made his debut at 15. But he's always moved on a free transfer, which is a bit of a red flag now that he's coming to the end of his contract. Do you, in your opinion, is it concerning that he might be looking further down the division to get that next contract?
Yeah, because I think he'll get a bigger one than he'll get at Luton. So
at
I think
he won't go to
might...
Bristol City.
Well, yeah, no, true. Yeah, true. Yeah, it is a concern, because I think it, and if he did that, if he left to go to a club like, I don't know, somebody else in Sunderland,
Sunderland
Stoke. If someone said to him, we'll give you 15 grand a week instead of 6 that you're on at Luton or being offered at Luton, there can be absolutely nobody who can say anything about it because, what is he, 29? Is he 28, 29?
I think he's 28, yeah.
28, 29. So if he signs a 2-year contract or a 3-year contract on 15 grand a week, nobody can say anything to him. No, and so you can't criticise him for thinking about it. You can't criticise him for looking at it or considering it. Same as you couldn't James Collins, same as you couldn't Harry Cornock, same as you couldn't Matty Pearson. All those type of players who Luton would have tried to keep hold of but couldn't because they got bigger offers elsewhere. It would be a very, very, very special individual who didn't care about money and who would consider not doing that. So yes, it's a concern because I think if you're a championship club who know you're in the championship next season and need a centre half, you're knocking on Tom Lockyer's agent's door, 100%, because he ain't going to cost you a huge amount of money. He's not on a huge amount of money, so he's going to probably, he will fit in your wage budget because Luton's is probably the lowest in the league. B, because he's proven over the last 2 seasons that he can get you into the playoffs, and whatever number I'm on next, he's a full international, Wales international, and he ticks every single box in terms of character and personality. So, yeah, it's a concern. I think there probably wouldn't be a championship team in the country with the exception of Bristol City, and they'd probably try, who probably hasn't contacted their agent and said, what's he thinking? What's he doing? What's his plans? And I think if you're his agent in the minute, I think your probably phone's ringing off the hook.
Yeah, it'd be a no-brainer for any team in the Championship, potentially even lower half Premier League. I feel he could do a job in the Premier League because he's so instinctive, as you've shown with his interceptions and tackles.
But what I would say is that possession is 9/10 of the law, and you'd like to think that Gary and Robert are in his ear, players are in his ear. He obviously loves the club, and you hope that the fans continue to show him the appreciation that we are showing him, and he just feels that love. And I'm not saying money is a be all and end all, so it might be that he feels that the offer he gets or what the offers he get maybe is the offer that he gets to Luton, the bit in the middle is negated by the fact that where we're at and what we can do. And I'm sure he will look at it and say, I want to get in the Premier League with Luton this season. And if that happens, I think he stays without any shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, in my biased opinion, in terms of career development, what we're doing and what we have done over the term that he's been with us, it's a no-brainer to stick with us. Briefly moving on, I know you said you didn't want to talk about it, but the next game is versus them lot down the road. So last game wasn't too great. We heard all the ifs and buts from Nathan Jones following the last game about a sickness bug. He wasn't apologetic to the fans. It had to be Gary Sweet that apologized to the fans for the performance. How do we win this game, in your opinion? Because last time, Watford were on a bad run of form and we were flying, 7 unbeaten. And now they're on a terrible run of form and we're flying. But it doesn't always work out that way.
No, I think I think it has to be horrible. I think Kenilworth Road has to be horrible. I think they have to come in and be uncomfortable. I think they've got players who are on a lot of money who believe they should be playing in the Premier League. I was fortunate enough to be at the game where James Collins scored the penalty. Gary did me a favour and sneaked me in, and it felt like we bullied them. We bullied them. From the first kick, I'll always remember Elijah going up for a header and getting his arm across, and it felt like their centre halves felt, I don't really fancy this, and that was without anybody in the ground. Although their board members were trying to make as much noise as possible. I think we have to make it horrible. I think we have to be aggressive with them. I think we have to be in their faces and make it horrible and make it really, really uncomfortable. And then, as I say every week, and as I say, then we have to get it into our centre forwards, and we have to get crosses in the box, and we have to make them uncomfortable, and we have to rely on our quality that we've got at the top end of the pitch. I don't think we have to take the emotion out of it. I think we have to make it into a local derby and make it that environment that is horrible for them. And I think if we do that, I think we can. They're used to nice things. A lot of their players and niceties, and I just think we have to create an atmosphere that is uncomfortable for them. And I think if we score the first goal and the Kenilworth Road crowd get behind us, I think we'll reverse the score from Vicarage Road.
Do you think a 2-week break is good or bad going into this game?
I think it is, like Rob Edwards said, it is what it is. So you take it. There's not a lot of point in saying it's either good or bad. There's nothing you can do about it. I think we've had a lot of games in a short amount of time, and I also think Rob Edwards has not been a long time with the group. So in the grand scheme of things, so there's still probably a lot of things that Rob wants to introduce to the group. Is it the right time to do it? Not on a grand scale, certainly not. Maybe a few little tweaks here and there, possibly. But yeah, it is what it is. So let's embrace it and let's make it a positive, and let's make it a good thing that it's, we've got a 2-week break. 1 or 2 are away with their national teams. 1 or 2 gives an opportunity to get back to fitness and swell the group a little bit. So listen, there's no point saying it's a bad thing. Let's use it as a good thing and make sure that come the match day, that we're in the best shape possible. We're refreshed, we're energized, and we're good to go.
Mm-hmm. Cheeky score prediction for the game.
I've just said 4-0 Luton.
I'll have whatever you're having. I'll say 1-0. It's a Luton. It won't be a comfortable 1-0 though.
I'll take that now. I'll take your scoreline now.
Yeah, well, I'll take it too. Well, bumper episode today, but that's all we got time for this week. If you like this episode, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're on Twitter at Oak Road Hatter, Instagram Oak Road Hatter Pod, YouTube Oak Road Hatter, Facebook also at Oak Road Hatter. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.